Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Happy Wednesday or maybe even Thursday. For some of you already, but good evening, good night, or good morning, depending on what time you're seeing this. If this is your first time here, I'm Dr. Twanna and I am a career coach. And I just want to be sure I get my comment screen over there all set up. If you're listening, I want to say welcome, and drop a one in the chat if you can hear me. I've got my microphone checked up, plugged up over here, and hopefully it is. You can hear me. I've done this a time or two, could not hear me, but hopefully today everything is going well. Again, I'm Dr. Tawana, and as a career coach, I empower stress busy women executives and leaders who are tackling imposter syndrome, self criticism, and doubt. I help them alleviate their stress so that they can actually find peace of mind and focus on excelling in their careers. So Tala says one, thank you. So she can hear me. Yes, I know you guys can hear me on LinkedIn. Welcome. So tonight's subject is empowering leadership strategies for overcoming imposter syndrome and thriving in your role. So as you hop on tonight, type in the comments whichever city or state what you feel comfortable with. Where are you coming from tonight? I am in Maryland, so I will go first. I spent all of last month, I think all of last month in Alabama, but I'm back in Maryland now. And so let me know where you guys are hopping on from. So again, if you're just joining me, I'm Dr. Twanna, and tonight we're talking about empowering leadership strategies for overcoming imposter syndrome and thriving in your role, right? So I do want to say again, so Dr. Rochelle is from Texas. Hey, Dr. Rochelle, how are you? Thanks for hopping on tonight, right? So I do want to say welcome to my channel. For those of you that are seeing this on YouTube, go ahead and be sure you're subscribed, right? Subscribe and hit that welcome bell. You'll get notified every time I go live and or just drop a video. So today we're doing a deep dive into a topic that really hits close to home for so many of us, especially Black women who are ambitious, on their way up, and way too many times, we don't want to think about it, but way too many times, you're isolated in the workplace, right? They did a survey of over 700 Black women, and one out of three of those women reported being the absolutely only Black woman in their division or their department. So it's still a thing. 21st century, it is still a thing. And I know I've been doing some reading and some research, and those of you in tech, I feel your pain because a lot of women, in these different places are isolated in tech, right? Well, and it's like, well, what's the problem? The thing is when we feel isolated or we don't feel like we're welcomed into those spaces, or we've been told, you got to do 2 to 3 times as much, do 2 to 3 times work as hard as everyone else just to be seen as normal. Well, that creates anxiety. And it means that you're checking yourself, and then you check yourself and check yourself and check yourself. And now you check. Well, all of that checking and rechecking creates doubt, right? The imposter syndrome can creep in, and just a lot of doubt and eventually burnout because you're masking and trying to hide and trying to check and recheck and check and recheck. And so you get to a place where you're like, well, maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe this just isn't for me. Maybe there's not anybody else here because I shouldn't even be in this space, right? And that's when that imposter syndrome starts to creep in. Now, I will say that there are 5 types of imposter syndrome, right? And I've already covered these. So I have linked to all 5 of my videos where I talked about the imposter syndrome. I'm going to tell you what they are. I dropped it in the comments. There's a perfectionist type. There's an expert type imposter syndrome. There's a superwoman imposter syndrome. And there's a natural genius type. And there's a soloist type. So Again, I've linked in the comments for each one of those videos. Now, if you're like me, right? I know videos are a wonderful thing, but I actually like to read. I'm that person. Yes, I want to read for myself. So I am also going to put a link to medium.com. I've also written 5 separate articles on each of the types of imposter syndrome. And so you can actually go read those articles as well. If you're like me, I like to get my stuff in print and read, and then I'll watch the videos later, right? Today though, the reason why I'm not covering, I mentioned the types, but I'm not really going in depth because today I really want to talk to you strategies. Let's talk about strategies, the strategies to overcome imposter syndrome and truly thrive in our roles, right? So I want to be sure that folks can see there are 5 types of imposter syndrome, and then those are actually linked below. So, again, when we're feeling imposter syndrome, and anyone can, I know we often talk about women, but actually men do, especially in the field of education. It's when they did the research in the field of education is the one time that men had more imposter syndrome than women had. So yes, men and women can get it. Today we're talking about Black women, right? And so again, we've all felt it at some point. It's a sneaky whispering voice that says, do I belong here? Am I in fraud? Is someone going to throw open those doors and point to me and go, get out, you don't belong here? So let's talk about claiming our space and what we can do to really overcome imposter syndrome, right? So number 1, own your achievements. Own it. Don't go, oh, it was nothing. It wasn't that much of hard work to get here. I just got lucky. That's all. Absolutely not. Own your achievements. Own them. Because if you don't, someone else will. Definitely own your achievements. Every award that you get, own it. Every promotion that you get, you've earned it. Every degree that you have, every certification that you have, you did it, so own it. Get used to standing in the mirror, looking yourself eyeball to eyeball and said, I own that. I did that, right? The more you do it, the easier it is. And granted, up front, it's a little awkward at first, but the more you own your achievements, the easier it gets. And you just basically programming yourself, this is my stuff. I did this. This is why I'm here, because I have this. I've earned this, right? Number 2 is really changing your inner narrative. Words are extremely powerful. And, if you know anything about NLP, neuro linguistic programming, our words actually program us. So the words that we tell ourselves, they actually shape our world. So rather than saying, I don't belong here, or looking over like, well, they have this, and, they probably grew up rich and I didn't, or they went to this school and I did. No, none of that. None of that. Tell yourself, I am capable. I deserve to be here. I've earned the right to be here, because guess what? You absolutely did. You didn't get there by a fluke. When you went through that interview, people looked at your traits, your characteristics, your experiences, your background, and said, yes, you fit this spot. You fit this particular job, this role. Yes, right? Because if you're not careful, negative thoughts will drag you down. Because let's face it, we're in environments, and yes, sometimes we're the only person of color, the only woman of color, maybe 1 or 2. People are not always welcoming, and they will take those little pop shots and microaggressions, and they will make you feel unwelcome. That negative, if you've got your own negative thoughts going inside and you're listening to the negative thoughts outside, they'll begin to drag you down. Little by little, you'll begin to be dragged down and start believing that mess. So if you don't believe in you, you can't ask anybody else to. So you really do have to believe in yourself, right? Challenge the negative thoughts in your head. It's taking that step back and observing the negative thoughts, because you think something doesn't make it true. Observe it. Is it actually true? Is it real? It's like, is it real? Is it Memorex that tells you how old I am, and no comments about how old I am? Because yes, I remember Memorex cassette tapes. I was that. Yes, I was there. They were the bomb at the time. So yes, I said it. Memorex tapes. Yes, I said that, right? But it is almost like a tape. Negative words are like a loop in your head over and over and over. You say it long enough, you start to believe it. So do challenge those negative thoughts, right? And the third tech strategy here is get coaching. It's what we do, whether you get a career coach, you get an executive coach, you get an executive career coach, get a coach. Seeking guidance isn't a sign of weakness. Having a coach is a game changer for leaders and executives. That's why so many of us have them, right? I actually have three. I have three coaches. It's a game changer. I love Jared is one of my coaches, and we always end up. Jared always asks me as we get ready to close out, Twanna, what are you not going to do? Because he knows me, and I'm an introvert. I have 1,001 ideas, 1,001 things I could be doing, right? And he always asks me, Twanna, what are you not going to do? Because that's what keeps me focused. That's what helps me check those negative thoughts. And a great coach will do the same for you. Many of us have walked your path before, right? And we get it. We understand it. I've been the only person of color. When I went to Desert Storm, I was the only Black female officer in my unit the entire time. The only one, right? And then at one point, we had one Black male officer. He came detached and then he left. So that was it. So I get it. I get it what it's like to feel like you're the only one. And I got to tell you, because I was in my younger days, the negative thoughts ran amok, which is why I do what I do now. Right. And again, seeking guidance isn't an indication of inadequacy or vulnerability. In the dynamic world of leadership and executive roles where decisions carry a lot of weight and it have far-reaching implications, having a coach actually provides you with an invaluable perspective. Coaches offer, some of us offer tailored advice. We work with you to help you develop the strategies and to help you develop the tools that help leaders navigate complex challenges, right? Refine your skill sets and really broaden your horizon. It is okay. You don't have to do it all on your own. You really don't. A coach's expertise and objective standpoints can be the difference between being a good leader and being a great leader. And for many leaders and executives, partnering with the coach not only propels your professional growth, but it also fosters personal development because they'll bleed over into it. Your professional bleeds into your personal and vice versa, right? And this will enhance your ability to lead teams more effectively and just be to make much better strategic decisions with confidence, right? And so number 4, recognizing the root. Do you know where these feelings of self-doubt stem from? Pinpointing the root can actually help you confront it, right? Honestly, because when we talk about imposter syndrome with Black women, there's also something else we have to talk about. We got to talk about racial gaslighting. Some of us are in environments where it's whispered, if you're here, you got here on a quota, you're stupid, you're dumb, you really don't know anything. It's as if those degrees that you got, they don't count for anything. You really didn't earn those. You just, somebody passed you through. And so people will come at you with that stuff, right? So again, we're talking about where do the feelings of self-doubt stem from? Sometimes it's from racial gaslighting. That's why it's important to hire a culturally competent career coach to really help you tease out, are these your self-doubts or are these doubts that your environment is imparting and passing to you because of the lack of diversity, because of the lack of D&I, right? And the next one, documenting successes. Write down every single little success, even if it feels trivial. Over time, when you write down every single success, over time, your list will build this armor against self-doubt. Because typically when we read stuff, we believe it. So if you're writing things down, if someone comes by and say, hey, Twanna, I appreciate you for doing XYZ, even if it's a verbal, go back to your desk and pull out the old email saying, hey, I appreciate you giving me that comment, telling me XYZ. It really made me feel great. Love working with you. Put it in writing. You know, People who write their goals down are more apt to achieve them. There's something about that brain to hand coordination when we type or write that makes us feel good. It really connects and it gives us like this sense of, I have proof. I have it here. I know who I am and I know whose I am, right? The next one is breaking the silence. Do share your feelings. You'd be surprised that someone else, a couple of cubicles over or another organization over, feel exactly the same way you do. Imposter syndrome actually thrives in silence. It really does. It thrives in silence. And by speaking up, you not only help yourself to chase away and then you're challenging those negative thoughts, but you're actually also enlisting allies and you're enlisting colleagues and friends and families to help you, right? And that is important because again, if you stay in your head, I'm an introvert. I love it. I gotta say, I love being in my head. There's just no better place to be with you. It's a wonderful place. But sometimes when we spend way too much time with our own thoughts, we start to believe the negative stuff. That's why it's great to talk to other people, right? And then the next strategy is do commit to learning. Some of us feel like, I didn't go to that college or I don't have that certification or I didn't spend this much time getting my degree or this person has 3 degrees, I only have one, or they have 3 and I only have 2, right? It doesn't matter the degree. As long as you stay hungry for knowledge, that's what counts. The more you learn, the more you grow, the more confident we become, right? Whether that's learning from workshops, taking courses, traveling, attending your organizational events, seminars, whatever it is, just always be learning. The more you learn, the more you grow, right? Often I was telling someone the other week that, I know some people who were old at about 25, 26. They were old. Why? They stopped learning, they stopped traveling, they just stopped. So technically, they're old. They may you don't have to be 50, according to the Gen Z, 50, 60 years old to grow old. You can be old at 25 because you stop learning. Always be learning. Always be learning, right? And then the next one is reaffirming value. Never forget you have a unique perspective. The only person at your job with your perspective is you because you're the only person with your experiences, with your background, how you grew up, how you came up, how you got your degree, how you do what you do. There's only one person at that job who has that unique perspective that you do. It's you, right? So the world does need your voice and it needs your perspective, right? That's why when we talk about D&I, it's not just color, right? It's diversity of thought. It's diversities of disabilities because we all bring with us a different way of seeing. And when we bring it all together, there's synergy, right? So you don't have to be the same as someone else to have value. Honor your own value, respect your own value your own value, right? And so, in conclusion, every Black woman watching this, remember, you actually are not alone. And you are more than enough, just as you are. Because my perspective is mine. I tell folks there are a lot of career coaches out there. When I'm coaching my ladies for the ones that are, starting their own, business, I tell them, yeah, there's a lot of people out there doing what you do, but what they don't have is you, because we are what makes us unique. Right? So you are enough as you are. Right? And so if this resonated with you, give this video a thumbs up, share with your friends, and drop your experiences in the comments below. I'm interested in knowing how many people have been the only woman of color in your workplace. Like I said, the entire Desert Storm, I was the only one. I was it. It was like, tag, you're it. I was it. Right? Let's definitely create a community where we can uplift each other and be there for each other. Okay? And so I do have a bonus tip, right? Give me a bonus tip here. A bonus tip and encouragement. Surround yourself with positivity. From the content that you consume to the people that you engage with, be sure they're uplifting and they're inspiring. You know, they say that we are the composite of the 5 people we spend the most time with. 5 people. So think about it. Who are those 5 people? And if you are what you consume, what do you read on a daily basis? And I know some people are, you know, the Kardashian sisters, and there's some other things, or the Kardashian people, daughters, whatever they are. Obviously, I don't watch that. But, you know, fine. If you watch that, fine. But really, on a day-to-day basis, who do you spend your time with, and what are you consuming? Right? That's the big thing. What are you consuming? On a day-to-day basis, make sure the bulk of it is inspiring and uplifting. All right. So next week, it is a new month, and I'm back with new lives. I'll be right back here next Wednesday, 8:35 Eastern time, 8:35 p.m. Eastern time, 7:35 in the Central Time Zone, and 5:35 on the Pacific time zone. Anybody here today from overseas? I know I get stopped by, so I do want to say it'll be like, oh, dark o'clock in the morning for you guys. It's like it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. But if you catch this on a replay, drop replay in the comments for me. And thank you so much for hanging in there for this live video. And for those of you who catch it on the replay, thank you, because quite a few of you do catch it on the replay. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody.